Yeah, so as I said before, I've always had an interest in learning about the hostages and like what kind of conditions they lived under because when you go on Twitter or any other social media, Muslims are always saying, "Look at how they were treated," like all those propaganda videos when they're, being released and I'm just always thinking, life couldn't have been good at all with Hamas. I highly doubt that. So I did a little bit of digging and I found it interesting that Hamas had actually tried to convert some of the hostages who were with them. And this guy in the middle, Keith Siegel, he actually did convert under duress, but it wasn't like a true conversion to Islam. So we have these three individuals here that I wanted to talk about: Moran, Stella Yanai, Keith Siegel, and Noga Weiss. So do you want to go to the next slide?
I want to quickly say something about. Oh, actually, she's right here. No, continue.
Sure. Okay, I just want to give a little background. So she spent 54 days with Hamas. She was kidnapped from the Nova Music Festival. She was there to sell her handmade jewelry, and she attempted to escape Hamas twice by saying she was Arab. At first, they believed her. She tried to hide in a potato field, I believe, when they actually found her the third time, and they just took her. So she was captured and taken to Gaza, and she lost 12% of her body weight in her hair while in Gaza, and she broke both of her legs and suffered hearing loss. And a lot of these injuries these people suffered from, they didn't get treated until they were released, like 54 days, a year later, over a year. So this is one of the hostages that was harassed almost daily to convert to Islam.
So, I am pretty much familiar with her. I know people who know her personally. I could have gotten in touch with her to, interview her and all that, but I am very much under the impression, from what I've heard, that she's not very. She doesn't really want to talk about what happened to her in there, and
Understandable.
I also didn't want to really bother her, with that kind of stuff. Um, but I just encourage anyone who has doubts about hostages, Israelis, or them, to listen to her. She has publicly spoken a few times and also had public discussions with opposing sides. She's a wonderful human being, a wonderful person, um, with no ounce of resentment and no ounce of hate against the very people who held her hostage and abused her in ways that she doesn't even want to describe. From what can be understood, the abuse went from regular mental abuse to physical abuse to also sexual abuse. But she has to this day said that, made some implications, but refused to talk about it, just with tears in her eyes. I encourage everyone to just listen to her a little bit. She's a fantastic human being, and is a great advocate now for the other hostages. But she did endure some really, really bad stuff, from what we can understand.
Yeah,
I'm gonna.
I
Yeah, go ahead.
want to buy some of her jewelry. I looked it up. Actually found it. Anyway.
Oh, nice.
Okay, cool. I didn't know she sells jewelry. I'm gonna go to a little bit of the article just to read what happened. She said that one day around midday, me and two other hostages sat in the room, prepared for any scenario that may arise, when suddenly I heard Abuha, Abuha multiple times. Hearing that repeated phrase, which means her father, she began listening more carefully until one of the captors approached and started asking questions concerning her father. She said the captor asked her, "Does your father love you?" To which I replied, "Of course, more than anything." He then asked me, "And what would he give in exchange for you?" I asked him what he meant, and he said, "How much money would he give in exchange for you?" Stella then reiterated to the terrorist that her father would give anything for her to return. And then, terrorists interrogated her the entire day on the same subject, asking, imagine like you're like with these people and what you have to go through, what she's going through here. Realizing her captors were speaking with the hostage's parents, she reiterated, emphasized to him that moment that my father would give anything and everything to me. So I don't know if what actually happened. Do you know what happened, AP? Did they pay money for her? Or was it just negotiated as a release in exchange for other prisoners?
It was just, I think her release was eventually just part of the hostage exchange deal.
Okay.
Yeah, it's It has to be something like that usually, because it's pretty difficult for, like, suppose a woman's suppose her dad offered a big pile of money. Well, you can't just, as the guy who's holding the hostage, go do that, because then Hamas will come after you for collaborating and so on. So it seems like it would almost have to be enough money to where, okay, I'm going to the border and I'm coming with you across that line, and I need enough money to survive somewhere else, because I will not be safe back here in Gaza ever again.
Right. So apparently, almost daily, one of them would enter the room saying, "Would be better for you to be a Muslim woman." Imagine the gall to like kidnap someone, trap them in this house for I don't know how many hundreds of days, or in tunnels, and then say, "Oh, by the way, this is Islam. Islam is so beautiful, sister. You should convert to Islam, the beautiful religion of terrorism and like, what? We just killed like all of your family. It's kind of like the Muhammad thing all over again. Kill the father and uncle of who was it again? It was my mind's going blank. And then marrying Sophia. Was it Sophia?
Yes,
Sophia.
Sophia was he killed her husband Kanana, and so on. And then you had a different story with Zainab bin al-Harith, who was a Jewish woman whose entire family had been killed. But yeah, just think about the reasoning. I just killed your entire family. Oh, go ahead and cook us dinner. Like that. Oh, we're cool now. We're cool now. You see the beauty and the strength of Islam. And then Sophia, of course. Yeah.
Wasn't there a hadith too where somebody stood outside of the Prophet's bedroom that night with Sophia because he killed her dad and then married her, and they were afraid that she was going to kill him? Was that somebody else?
Yeah, that was Sophia, and Muhammad had killed her husband after torturing him. They tortured him. They lit a fire on his chest to find out where, because he knew where the money was hidden and so on. But yeah, so Muhammad's just, here's the crazy part to me. He had just been almost assassinated, and technically was assassinated because according to the Muslim sources, he eventually died from the poison. But this guy was so dumb that after slaughtering someone's family, he let a woman cook him dinner. And then right after that, he takes another person whose family had been slaughtered, and I'll take her back to my tent and have my way with her. And he's oblivious, but one of his soldiers is like, I don't like this idea here. This seems like she can put a dagger right in his neck while he's sleeping or something. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, and it continues. Almost daily, one of them would enter the room saying, "Would be better for you to be a Muslim woman." And once a terrorist sent one of his comrades to get a head covering, a hijab for her, and show me what it means to be a Muslim woman. What the hell?
You just wear this. That's it. See? Well, it's crazy that they think it's built into their minds that this is like appealing. It's like, oh, hey, look at this.
Insane.
Look what you've been missing. You didn't know what it's like to be a Muslim. See, I mean, here you are in Israel where you've got Muslims in hijabs walking all over the place, but you just didn't know. You were clueless. But I'm here to teach you.
The insane part is also she was on October 7th. She was at the music festival, right? While people are celebrating, partying, having fun, and she's at the Nova Music Festival where nearly 400 Israelis were brutally murdered by these bastards who came down and started randomly shooting at people, torturing them, raping them, setting them on fire, taking hostages, and so on. She was one of the hostages taken on that day, and she was there to, I think, sell her jewelry and all that, while also having fun. And from that environment, as such a person, open-minded person, she's then taken to Gaza as a hostage while her friends and family and all other people are killed. And she's then told, how about you just convert to Islam, put this hijab on, become a Muslim?
Hijab, yes, there's all the killing and rape and bloodshed, but I mean, come on, look at the hijab.
These people are just beyond insane, man. This is not normal human behavior.
I don't know. I'm just like stunned at it's just crazy. Yeah, absolutely crazy.
I always think of these lefties, you know, that they convert for Palestine because of Palestine. It's like she actually spent time with these guys and she's like, hell no, right? I mean, obviously Islam is not that convincing when you actually spend time in the real deal, you know?
Yeah. And it actually reminds me, it's nowhere near the same thing, but for some reason it reminds me of like when they have to release some hostages and they do this little thing on stage where they hand them certificates and stuff,
Right.
like you graduated from being a hostage, and they're celebrating. It's like, does that make sense in your heads that like I want a certificate from being a hostage? Like, but it's like, okay, we know you guys are violent and that you want to slaughter everybody and stuff, like, but do these things actually make sense in your head? Like, hey, let's have the graduation ceremony for this hostage that we've been holding for 15 months.
I mean, that's a very deliberate and clear humiliation ritual.
Yeah.
Which is why they do that. But it's so vile that they even gave dead bodies the basically kind of certificates.
Oh, wow.
And also when they presented the bodies of the family that was taken captive and entirely murdered, the woman,
Bibas.
the Bibas family and the children, they did a whole victorious ceremony of carrying their coffins and playing victorious music and putting documents and some propaganda material into their coffins before handing them over to Israel, to the families. These people are completely sick.
You know what I was wondering? Like, maybe you could answer this, AP. Like, I've been wondering, you know, they have all these like banners and like, you know, they get them custom made and stuff. It's like, where do they get these things from when the whole city's been like leveled, right? There's like nothing there. Like, who's purchasing this stuff for them? All this propaganda material.
Well, the thing is, despite much of the propaganda about what Gaza looks like, much of the Gaza Strip still has parts that are completely functional. You still have entire cities that are totally functional. You have safe zones where lots of stuff was transferred to, where things still function. But more importantly, you also have Hamas establishing an entire underground tunnel network. According to different descriptions of people who have seen the underground tunnel network, it is a whole underground city that they established down there in the tunnels. With where they have all kinds of means to survive for, I don't know, for many years, and just continue existing as a functioning society. Of course, it's only for the terrorists, not for the civilians. Only the terrorists are supposed to live down there, but they have things like that set up. And they also have, of course, smuggling business with civilians who are in on it and so on. There's a lot of wickedness going on.
Okay.
Right. So just continuing what she said, after they said her captors would bring a Quran to read verses to her, demanding she praise God and saying, if you convert to Islam, we will release you sooner. As a woman, yeah, here's a Quran. Like, you don't know anything about Islam, I'm going to give you a Quran and read it to you. How much more can you make someone hate Islam? Like, you capture this person, now you're going to connect it to the religion. Oh my God, it's.
I have some advice for Muslims who want to spread Islam to Jews. The one thing that probably is least likely in working is trying to impress Jews with the Quran. So please don't do that. Just from what I have, from how far I have experienced Jewish culture and scholarship and all that, that's the last thing that will impress them. So it's probably a very stupid idea.
As a woman, my biggest fear is being sold, that someone will forcefully marry me and I'll have to convert to Islam, Stella emphasized. She further stressed the entire experience was traumatizing to the family. And that's kind of the end of it. I'll just read the last thing. When his father began receiving the ransom messages, he went into shock. He received a picture of his daughter and is told if he didn't pay the money within an hour, they would start killing us one by one. I try to imagine my father in the situation, being told that in an hour they'll kill your daughter if you don't send money. I think about my father and what he goes through in his mind. It could break his heart. My parents experienced trauma no less than I did. That's true.
Well, I mean, what's crazy is, hey, wire me a bunch of money. you don't know if he's actually gonna. You don't know what they're gonna do. Like
Yeah.
you don't. These Hamas to some extent has to keep its agreements and so on, because in order to make future agreements, you have to have a track record of honoring your agreements and so on. An individual just saying, "Hey, wire me money, or this will happen to your." How do you know that person keeps any agreements?
Yeah. True.
Are they saying this happened between the individual captive? Individual captor, not like Hamas was not involved. This was like literally like the captor, the one that was holding her that was doing this. Is that your understanding?
Oh, that's what I thought when you were talking about it. So you're saying this was from Hamas?
That's what it sounds like. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like her captor, like somehow it sounds like there was communication there between these guys and, somebody that, in the government, in the Israeli government, who was speaking with her family. That's probably how they got word of this, right? But they're not gonna do that. It's the same thing with ISIS, with the journalists and the other people that they executed. It's like you just don't negotiate with these people. You don't send them money because, like David said, you don't know what they're gonna do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What happened to her? She both of her legs were broken. Is that when they captured her at a music festival?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was a video going around of her captivity. You can still find it when she was, I think, chased into some rural place, and then eventually ended up in some little ditch or something with these two scumbags recording a video and talking about her as our female captive.
Yeah, I saw that.
So as our concubine. So that is and she was bloody, and her legs and stuff, she seemed injured. So that is how people confirmed that she was been taken captive.
It's awful. Folks, if you want to know about Islam, talk to her. She knows firsthand. She's seen it firsthand, and she was invited to the beautiful religion of not so beautifulness. And yeah, this is just kind of highlighting what we read. Okay, over to you, Huda.
Okay, so the next one is Keith Siegel. So this is another hostage. He is a 65-year-old American. He was captured from kibbutz along with his wife, and he was shot in the hand. And this is one of the captives that was there for 484 days. And again, he lived in these deep, deep tunnels where it's hard to breathe. There's no food. They're being starved. And he's living with these wounds for a year. He also had broken ribs. This is another one that he was 190 pounds when he was captured. And then he lost so much weight. He was 125 pounds. So this is the one that that converted to Islam under duress. And he does speak about what they were trying to tell him about Islam and his experiences.
Let me go to one of the articles. There's two articles here.
Yeah, there's two separate ones where he had two different accounts. Similar accounts. Like he's talking about just the different tactics they used.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he was American, apparently. American Israeli hostage. He's 65. He's an old man. And these are the people they're like capturing. I mean, they're so proud of the fact that they're capturing women, babies, old men. Like these are the people that they're like, So hold on a second. Who is hold on. It was held. Oh, okay. So he was held together with another IDF soldier, Mutton Angrest, who is still in captivity, and they tried to convince the hostages to convert to Islam. There were attempts to convert us to Islam, he said. According to them, whoever is not Muslim goes to hell, and only Muslims go to heaven, right? And he added, Mutton spoke a lot about his longing to spend, more time with his family when he returns from captivity and less with his PlayStation. So they're remembering the good times. I think they tried to extract information from Mutton about his role in the army. He did everything he could not to reveal classified things. He told very difficult things that he went through. I saw violence towards Mutton, physical and verbal violence. Mutton and I were literally starving. This is not some figurative expression. There were times where we felt physically and mentally that there was a chance that we wouldn't get out of there alive at all because of all the kinds of threats that there were. One of them was a shortage of food and daily hunger for a long time. It caused dizziness, vertigo, and weakness. I'm sure he still experiences it today.
That's also one of those things. Like, we have heard a lot of the propaganda going on. We still hear it that Israel is starving people in Gaza. By the way, officially speaking, right now, there still is no famine in Israel. It has been in Gaza. It has been announced famine is imminent, mass starvation is imminent, and so on from the beginning of the war. There still is no such thing going on. There still is no mass starvation going on. There are reports officially of some people starving, but there still is no official confirmation of any, large-scale starvation going on. There were reports that some children died as a result of starvation. Those cases almost always involved the child actually having a condition. The only people who came out starving out of Gaza were the hostages, and we have footage of the 3 hostages. I think he was one of them, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Who looked like the Holocaust survivors, basically, who came out of Auschwitz and the other concentration camps. They were completely thin on the doorstep of starvation and death. So.
And they would even talk about how the Hamas fighters would eat in front of them. So they weren't starving. They would do that as like a psychological, like, torture tactic to eat in front of them and tease them like that. So those are the ones who are just fine.
Yep. I'm going to read, this article is actually from Keith Siegel. As Jews celebrate their freedom this Passover, my fellow Hamas hostages still lack theirs. My name is Keith Siegel. I'm an American grandfather who survived 484 days in Gaza. On October 7th, my wife Aviva and I were violently abducted from our home by Hamas terrorists. I was shot in the hand and broke some ribs during the kidnapping. Injuries not treated until my return to Israel, so they left him with these wounds. Aviva was released after 51 days. Our parting words were a promise to remain strong for each other and survive. I was finally released in February after enduring nearly 16 months in captivity. I'm sharing my story because as Jews around the world prepare for Passover, the Festival of Freedom, we must remember the 59 hostages in Gaza who still lack that freedom and what they are facing: physical abuse, psychological torture, isolation, and deprivation of basic necessities. My experience was brutal. I was held in suffocating heat of tunnels 130 feet underground. I witnessed extreme violence, hostages handcuffed, beaten, and sexually assaulted. A female hostage was gagged and bound while her feet were beaten with metal rods. Wow, they're like torturing female captives.
Yeah.
And this is firsthand witness saying this. That's wild.
That's something else. The other side, the Muslim side, they try to say none of this stuff happened. This is all lies. Yet all these people were held in different houses at different times, sometimes with each other, and they're all telling similar stories of how they were tortured.
Yeah, reminds me of Andrew Tate, where every witness who calls him out, every victim who calls him out, tells the same story of what the creepy stuff this guy's into, and yet it's all lies.
They're part of the Matrix, man.
Yeah, they all lie in exactly the same way.
The Matrix programs them to lie like that.
These memories of medieval torture still haunt me to this day. Contrary to popular belief, the terrorists who held me were not starving. They ate well while we starved. I would make 4 bites of rice last for 20 bites, eating slowly to savor every morsel of food. By the time I was released, I weighed just 125 pounds, down from about 190. I knew resistance meant death. I could not fight or escape. I was deep inside Gaza. Where could I go? I didn't resist when they kicked or spat on me, nor when they shaved my body to humiliate me. Not even when one locked me in a room, pointed a pistol in my head and said, "I'm going to kill you now." When forced to make propaganda videos, I complied. When they tried to convert me to Islam, I recited the phrases. I did find one small space of control. I refused to beg. The worse they treated me, the beating, starvation, humiliation, the less I wanted to ask for anything. For 6 months of my captivity, I was completely alone in isolation, which is something you don't do even for criminals unless they're like the worst of criminals. It's a psychological torture. To keep myself mentally strong, I counted days by the mosque's call to prayers. I sang James Taylor's songs in my mind. I held daily conversations with my family in my head, including with my 96-year-old mother in North Carolina. Sadly, she passed away during my captivity, and I never had a final chance to hug her goodbye. After more than a year of this nightmare, Donald Trump was elected and everything changed overnight. His victory transformed my fate and that of 37 other hostages. Within days, negotiations resumed. The deal that brought me home was signed. When finally released, I emerged physically broken, but I accomplished my mission, fulfilling my promise to Aviva to survive. Okay, I'll just pause there if you guys want to say anything.
His wife was released first, I think, in the first
51 days.
Something days. Yeah. And then he was there for over 400. So this just goes to show too, when they tried to convert me to Islam, I recited their phrases like, what did they get out of that? They didn't get another Muslim. Yep. These people are not gonna, they're gonna just say whatever you want them to say.
Yeah. Oh, they successfully made officially another ex-Muslim.
Oh, that's true. He's an ex-Muslim now. So
yeah, he's an ex-Muslim now. I thought it was interesting they would keep himself occupied by singing James Taylor songs.
Interesting music choice.
I've seen fire and I've seen rain. That's good. Good stuff.
Lonesome Road, isn't that? Is that him? Yeah. Anyway, continue.
Okay. Yeah, so basically, and he talks about meeting Donald Trump, and he wanted to thank the man who saved his life. And he said, I saw a genuine determination to finish what he started, bring everyone home. I don't know if that doesn't seem to be going so well, but other hostages released during the deal, like me, have described the dire conditions faced by those still in captivity, chained in filth and squalor in tiny tunnels without air, light, sanitation, food, or water. Every day, another day of unimaginable suffering. I think constantly of Matan, however you say it, who spent weeks with me in captivity before he was separated. He was just 21 when captured. How is he surviving now, so many months later? Does he still have that spark of hope in his eyes? Or has it dimmed after watching hostage after hostage being released while he remains? Mutton and others need America's continued pressure to bring them home. As American, I'm proud to have President Trump as my president. Thanks to him, I was reunited with my wife, children, and grandchildren. I guess because he's American. Is that why they released him? Is that what he's saying? And Mutton is
part of a deal.
Part of the deal.
Well, Donald Trump put pressure on them, as a result of which also hostage deals came into being. So he might just express happiness for that.
Mm-hmm. So we cannot. Yep, go ahead.
I just going back to, so according to everybody who's pro Hamas out there and all of that stuff, is this the definition of being treated good? Because they all say this, they were treated well, nothing happened. Is this what being treated well is? Being starved, beaten. Is that what the good treatment of captives in Islam means?
What they will tell you is that these are Jews and they're lying, of course. So you can't trust them.
Oh boy. Yeah, it's awful. Okay, so this is just kind of sharing the same thing again here. We talked about this. Okay, on to Noga.
Yeah, so this is Noga Weiss. She was abducted from her home in kibbutz along with her mother. She was captured as well. And her sister, she has two other sisters who actually hid in a safe room for 12 hours until the IDF got to them. So they were fine. Her and her mom were in Hamas captivity for 50 days. And interesting, she was also held captive with the woman that we spoke about earlier, more on Stella Yanai. And I just thought this story was very interesting because this is just another horrifying trauma that came out of this. And there were some other women who spoke about this as well. We're not going to have time to talk about them today, that said that these Hamas fighters actually approached them for marriage, tried to marry them. This one came to her within 14 days of being captive, and he tried to talk to her mother about marrying her, and he had a ring for her, and he said she was going to stay there in Gaza and never leave and have his kids. So
yeah, she said, asked how she responded. I pretended to laugh so he wouldn't shoot me in the head.
Her mom didn't respond that way. Her mom, I mean, the story that was told about the way her mom reacted, I was like, oh my God, her mom is brave, because she stood up to him and she got nasty with them. She was like, no, you're not going to marry my daughter. I don't approve of this. And, I mean, look at the risk she had for acting out like that, because they would beat you, even if you know, their personalities, their mood would change all the time. They would laugh with you one minute, beat you the next. So her mom was pretty brave to stand up to them like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it says she was moved between various homes throughout her captivity, each time dressed in hijab and told to hold the hand of the captor, very haram, not supposed to be touching women. So onlookers would assume they were married and not Israeli hostages. They brought cards for us to play with, and I told myself I'll play with them and do whatever they want as long as they don't shoot. The moods changed so quickly. One minute they played with us and laughed, the next they'd come in with a gun. You always had to please them, right? And then there was another story you found, which I guess we're not going to share, about how should I share it on this? I don't know if it's kind of bad.
That one's really graphic.
Yeah, so I guess we'll just, do you want to just summarize? I won't share it. We'll just
It was the Mexican hostage, right? She talked about how they would watch her. They would often just, or she woke up unclothed, surrounded by Hamas fighters.
Mm-hmm.
So there's stories like that out there of this type of violence happening.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awful.
There is one who very early on, she was one of the early on released ones, who talked about how she also was sexually used by them, by one of those guys who pretended to be good to her and all that, who had forced her to do things in the bathroom and all that. So when his wife was away, and I know that there is a lot of, to my information and knowledge, they have gone above and beyond the Israeli doctors and psychiatrists and psychologists to, as soon as they receive the hostages, to talk to them and get as much information as possible and to comfort them somehow. But they also get information from they also get instructions from the Israeli government to not publicly say certain things.
Yeah.
So they keep most of what actually happened in there vague to the public, or just completely private, while disclosing it to certain medical personnel, to the government, and also to UN interrogators that come and interview the hostages. So, and they do that for certain reasons, to protect the remaining hostages from being mistreated or in any other way harmed or endangered.